Aurora, Colorado. A quiet city where tree-lined streets and residential neighborhoods seemed immune to the chaos of large metropolises. It was there in a modest duplex on Dawson Street that my routine turned into a nightmare. It all started on a gray autumn afternoon. I was on the couch, mindlessly scrolling through Facebook, when a message from a stranger appeared. "How are you?" Her profile was generic, a blurred face photo, no public posts, and a common name, Clara Martins. Since we were friends, I assumed I had added her at some point, distracted years ago. I replied out of politeness, but her tone was strangely intimate. "You live in Aurora, right?" she asked after a few minutes of small talk. I made the mistake of confirming. I shouldn't have revealed anything, but the numbing routine of that afternoon made me careless. My only protection was a rusty lock on the front door and the illusion of security that a calm neighborhood provides. Hours later, as night fell, I heard the first knock at the door. 3 sharp bangs like hammer strikes. My heart raced. Through the curtain's gap, I saw 4 hooded figures, standing like statues under the yellowed light of the porch. 2 of them carried something metallic, keys, tools, while the others kept watch over the empty street. I recoiled, choking back the scream rising in my throat. The phone trembled in my hands as I dialed 911. "There are men trying to break into my house," I whispered to the dispatcher, hiding in the bathroom. Before she could respond, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen. They were at the back door. I heard metal scraping against wood, trying to force the lock. Each scratch was a knife in my sense of control. I grabbed a baseball bat leaning against the cupboard, a useless gift from an ex-boyfriend, and huddled in the darkest corner of the hallway. The minutes dragged on. The smell of my own sweat mixed with the mold in the apartment. I remembered the message on Facebook, the casual question about my city, Clara Martins. I fumbled with the phone and saw her profile had disappeared, blocked or deleted. At that moment, one of the men shouted from outside, a hoarse, unintelligible command. I heard running footsteps, car doors slamming, and then silence. The police arrived 10 minutes later, finding only footprints in the dirty snow and the front doorknob scratched. "They did this quickly," said one of the officers, examining the damage. "They probably knew you were alone." As they searched the yard, I noticed something that chilled my blood. A photo of me, posted 6 months earlier, where the number 21105 of my address was clearly visible on the facade. Clara Martins wasn't a random profile. It was bait. That night, locked in the bathroom with the bat still in my hands, I promised myself I would never again underestimate the horror that an innocent click can unleash. The following days were a maze of paranoia. I installed security cameras, changed all the locks, and deleted hundreds of friends from Facebook. But the real monster wasn't on social media. It was in my head. Every night, I pored over the camera footage, reliving the same 20 seconds of video where the figures appeared like ghosts in the snow. Until one early morning, something different showed up. A hooded figure standing under the streetlight, staring directly at my window. 3:17 a.m. He had returned. I called the police, but when they arrived, there was no one. No footprints, no sign. The officer suggested, with a pitying look, that I rest. I'm not imagining things. I screamed, showing him the video. He stared at the static screen. "It could be a reflection, ma'am, or an animal, but I knew someone was watching me." Colorado Springs, Colorado, 1 month later. I moved to a tiny apartment in Colorado Springs, 50 miles from Aurora. I changed my number, deleted social media, lived like a fugitive, but the past breathed around every corner. On an afternoon shopping at the local market, I felt that gaze, heavy, sticky, like a spiderweb on the back of my neck. When I turned around, a man with a lowered cap was flipping through a magazine, but his fingers were trembling. He wasn't one of the intruders, but I knew that tremor. It was the same one I felt when holding the baseball bat that night. I ran home, locking all the doors. On the way, a black motorcycle sped up beside me. The rider's helmet slowly turned, as if smiling behind the tinted visor. That night, while reviewing old emails, a notification appeared on a secondary account I swore I had deleted. "You didn't learn, did you?" Message from Lucas Ribeiro. Profile created 3 hours ago. Attached to the message, a photo. My photo. I was at the market, facing away with the date of the day stamped in the corner. The angles was from someone behind me. Too close. I deleted the account, turned off the computer, and covered all the apartment cameras with duct tape. But the worst came at dawn. When I opened the window to air out the room, something fell from the windowsill. A black cap covered in mud. The same cap from the man in the market. The price of surveillance is terrifying. Now, I live like this. I sleep with the baseball bat in bed and a kitchen knife under the pillow. Every sound in the hallway is an intruder. Every shadow on the wall, a hood. I hired a private detective who discovered that Clara Martins and used an IP from a cyber cafe in Denver. Traced to a front, a homeless man who didn't even know what Facebook was. The detective looked me in the eyes before leaving. This was professional. Someone paid to scare you, or worse. The silence. I never found out who. Distant relatives, an envious coworker, the disturbed neighbor who rarely said hello. The police closed the case due to lack of evidence. But there's a truth that gnaws at my insides. They may still be out there. Maybe watching this text. Maybe laughing at the woman who became a shell of fear. After all, the real terror isn't the monster that attacks you. It's the certainty that somewhere, in the anonymous depths of the internet or the poorly lit streets of Colorado Springs, someone decided your life is worth less than a sick game. And you'll never know when or who will decide to play again. I was never really into using Facebook. I would log in occasionally just to take a quick look at notifications or see what my friends were posting. But everything changed on that damn day in October 2012 when something so terrifying happened that it made me question everything I thought was safe about the internet. At the time, I was living in Austin, Texas, a big city, but with that peaceful atmosphere that makes you feel safe. I was 15 years old, just a regular girl focused on school and friends. That day, I decided to log into Facebook after a few weeks without using it. Little did I know that this simple decision would lead me to one of the most disturbing moments of my life. As soon as I logged in, I saw a notification, Trasher 1 new friend request. I clicked on it, curious to see who it was, and that's when the chill ran down my spine. The profile was me. The name was exactly the same, Sarah Mitchell. The profile picture was identical to mine, taken the previous summer at Galveston Beach. I remembered that day perfectly, my relaxed smile, the sun hat I was wearing, but there on my computer screen, it was as if I was staring at a dark reflection of myself. The profile didn't have much public information, just a generic cover photo of a blue sky with clouds and only one listed friend, Sarah Mitchell. In other words, me. My heart started racing. Who was this person? A bot? Someone trying to impersonate me? Still trying to stay calm, I accepted the request, thinking it might just be a mistake or a bad joke. As soon as I accepted, I started digging through the profile. There were several photos of me, all copied directly from my own Facebook. Family pictures, selfies with friends, even that photo I had taken at the Six Flags amusement park in San Antonio. It was as if someone had gone through my entire life and decided to recreate it. But what terrified me the most was the fact that the profile had only one friend. Me. It was as if this person had been watching me, waiting for me to take the bait. I decided to send a message. I typed, "Who are you? Why are you pretending to be me?" The response came almost instantly, and it was exactly the same thing I had just written. "Who are you? Why are you pretending to be me?" My stomach twisted. It was like I was talking to a distorted mirror, someone who repeated my words back to me without any explanation. I tried again. "This isn't funny. Who are you?" This time, the response was different. "This is not a joke." The air seemed to leave my body. Whoever this person was, they were taking this seriously. And what came next sent me into a panic. "I'm going to take your account." I blocked the profile immediately, my hands shaking. I tried to convince myself it was just a troll, someone trying to scare me. But deep down, I knew something was very wrong. The next day, I received a Facebook notification. Several people liked your photo. I hadn't posted anything recently. When I logged in to check, my heart nearly stopped. There was a new photo on my profile. It was my profile picture, but distorted, as if it had been run through several dark, blurry filters. The face I knew so well now looked ominous, almost threatening. It was as if someone had invaded my identity, my life. And worse, I had no idea how it had happened. In the days that followed, I tried to convince myself it was nothing more than a digital nightmare. I changed my Facebook password, enabled two-factor authentication, and even deleted some of my more personal photos. But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. The feeling that someone was watching me, copying my every move, never went away. It was like an invisible stranger was sitting in the dark, tracking every detail of my life. A week later, I received a message from an unknown number on my phone. It was short and direct. "You can't hide from me, Sarah." My heart pounded. How had someone gotten my number? I had never shared it publicly. The message was followed by a photo, a screenshot of my Facebook profile with the distorted picture the imposter had posted. The caption read, "Did you like my edit?" I was in a panic. I told my parents everything, and they immediately contacted the Austin police. The officers were helpful but couldn't do much. "This is something that happens frequently," they said. "People create fake profiles all the time. Keep your accounts secure and block any suspicious communication." But this wasn't just a fake profile. It was something deeper, more personal. Someone was hunting me, and I had no idea who or why. 2 nights later, something even more disturbing happened. I was in my room trying to distract myself with a movie when I received a notification on Facebook. It was a message from a profile I didn't recognize. The name was Sarah M., and the profile picture was an even more distorted version of my image, as if it had been edited to look terrifying, with darkened eyes and a hollow smile. The message read, "You know who I am, Sarah. I'm closer than you think." My body froze. I looked around my room as if expecting to see someone hiding in the dark corners. The window was closed, but the feeling that I wasn't alone was overwhelming. I decided to investigate. I went to the Sarah M. profile and saw that it only had one public photo, an image of a dark street with broken streetlights and a silhouette in the background. The caption read, "You've walked here." I recognized the place. It was a street near my school in Austin. I passed by there almost every day. The photo had been taken at night, and the silhouette in the background looked like me. My stomach churned. Someone was following me. Someone who knew where I went to school, where I walked, what I looked like. The next day, I decided to go to the street in the photo. It was a Saturday morning, and the strong Texas sun should have made me feel safe, but I was in panic. When I got to the location, I saw something that made me stop breathing. On the nearest streetlight, there was a small mark, as if someone had scratched something into it. I stepped closer and saw that it was a message carved into the wood. "Sarah, I see you." I ran home, my heart beating so fast I could barely think. When I got there, I logged into Facebook again. The Sarah M. profile had been deleted. There were no traces of it. It was as if it had never existed. But I knew it wasn't over. That night, while I was trying to sleep, I heard a noise coming from my bedroom window. It was a soft sound, like someone scratching the glass. My body froze. I knew I shouldn't look, but I couldn't resist. When I approached the window, I saw something that made me collapse to the floor, trembling. Outside, standing on the sidewalk, was a man. He had his back to me, but I could see that he was holding something in his hands. A phone. And on the phone's screen, glowing in the dark, was the distorted picture of my profile. He turned slowly, as if he knew I was watching. I couldn't see his face clearly, but he raised the phone in my direction, as if he was taking a picture of me. I screamed. My parents ran to my room, but when they looked out the window, the man had already disappeared. The police were called again, but they found nothing. No man, no phone, no evidence. Since then, I've never felt safe again. I changed all my passwords, deleted my Facebook, and even changed schools at the time. But the feeling that someone is watching me never disappeared. I've never gotten over it. It's been years since it happened. I feel violated every time I go out with my friends and they ask me to take pictures. I pull away. Sometimes when I'm alone, I feel like someone is watching me. And when I look in the mirror, I'm afraid of seeing something that's not me. Because deep down, I know that there are bad people everywhere. And it's on Facebook, Instagram, or any other social network where they just wait for an opportunity to strike. I live in Boise, Idaho, in a quiet neighborhood with my wife, Alice. Our house is in a secluded area surrounded by a large property with nearly 5 acres of dense forest in the back. It's a peaceful place, the kind of neighborhood where everyone knows each other, where the biggest crime on record was a bicycle theft 3 years ago. We have a community Facebook page where residents share alerts, events, and notices about lost animals. Normally, it's just trivial stuff. Backyard parties, neighbors complaining about traffic, those kinds of things. But one night, a post caught my attention. Has anyone seen this man? The post was accompanied by a grainy photo taken from afar. The figure was hard to make out, but what stood out was the way the man was standing in the middle of a back road near the entrance to the golf course a few miles from my house. He was wearing a long coat and seemed to be staring directly at the person who took the photo, even from a distance. The caption was simple: "He tried to open my car door when I stopped at the traffic light. Has anyone else seen him?" The comments started piling up quickly. I saw someone who looked like that near the supermarket last night. This reminds me of that story about the woman who went missing last year. He was staring at my house yesterday. I called the police, but he disappeared into the forest. That last one sent a chill down my spine. The forest mentioned was the same one that bordered my backyard. I walked to the back window. The glass reflected my own silhouette, but beyond that, there was only darkness. Nothing but the pitch-black pine trees stretching as far as the eye could see. Even so, I felt a growing unease, as if I was being watched. I tried to ignore it. People exaggerate on social media all the time. But then the next night, something happened. Alice had already gone to sleep, and I was on the couch watching TV. The silence of the house was comforting until, out of nowhere, the motion sensor light in the backyard turned on. My stomach churned. I slowly got up and walked to the kitchen, where I had a clear view of the backyard. The light illuminated part of the yard, but the forest remained a dark, impenetrable wall. What made me even more uncomfortable was the fact that there was nothing out there. Thus, no animals, no branches swaying, nothing. Could it have been a sensor malfunction? Maybe. But then I saw it. Footprints. On the grass, illuminated by the light, there were fresh marks of steps coming directly from the forest. I approached the glass door leading to the backyard, trying to scan the darkness between the trees. The silence was absolute. That's when I noticed the footprints didn't go away. They only came from the forest, but didn't go back there. I froze. The only explanation was that someone was still out there. I looked at the forest, my heart racing. Then something broke the silence. The sound of leaves being stepped on. I didn't run. I didn't scream. I just slowly backed away from the door, keeping my eyes fixed on the absolute nothingness beyond the yard. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911, my breath heavy. 911, what's your emergency? My voice came out tense. There's someone in my backyard. They came from the forest. As I spoke, the sensor light went out, and the moment the darkness swallowed the backyard, I saw it. 2 eyes reflecting the light from my house, standing between the trees, watching me. Part 2. The man in the forest. My blood ran cold. Those eyes, fixed in the darkness of the forest, didn't blink, didn't move. They just watched me. The 911 operator kept talking, but my mind was far away. Everything inside me screamed not to look away. Then, in a moment of pure terror, they vanished, not like the person turned or ran. They disappeared suddenly, as if the very darkness of the forest had swallowed them. "Sir, are you still on the line?" My voice was trembling. "He's gone. The officers are on their way. Are you inside?" "Yes, but he knows I saw him." My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it was shaking my rib cage. I needed to wake up Emily. I climbed the stairs quietly, as if the silence itself could protect me. I entered the room and shook her shoulder. "Emily, wake up! Now!" she grumbled, blinking slowly. "What is it?" "There's someone out there. The police are coming." Rick, that woke her up for good. "What?" Before I could respond, a sound from downstairs froze us both, the doorknob on the back door turning. Emily's eyes widened, and she covered her mouth with her hand. I instinctively grabbed her arm as if that would prevent anything from happening. The door was locked, but that meant he was already in the backyard. I moved slowly to the hallway, and we peeked over the railing. The kitchen was partially lit by the street light. My eyes scanned the area, but there was no one. The silence returned, heavy and sickly. That's when I realized the glass door didn't just reflect the interior of the house. There was a shadow there, inside the kitchen. For a second, my brain refused to process what I was seeing. How had he gotten in? When? The man was facing away from us, standing in the middle of the kitchen. He was wearing an old long coat, and his messy hair hung down over his shoulders. He seemed to be smelling the air as if absorbing our presence. Emily held her breath. My mind screamed to grab the phone and lock ourselves in the bedroom, but before I could do anything, he turned his head. Not his body, just his head, slowly, as if he already knew we were there. Our eyes met for a suffocating moment, and then he smiled. A wide, impossible smile. Something that seemed more like a distorted reflection of a human emotion than an actual smile. As if he was simply mimicking an expression trying to appear normal. The police. Where the hell was the damn police? I pulled my phone from my pocket and typed frantically to 911. "He's inside. He's in the house." My voice was a whisper. My entire body was pulsing with adrenaline. Emily clutched my arm, trembling. The man started walking, but not toward the door. Toward the stairs. Toward us. My heart almost exploded. Without thinking, I pulled Emily and we rushed into the bedroom, locking the door. I heard his footsteps in the hallway. He climbed the stairs slowly, each step creaking under his weight. The operator on the phone kept telling me to stay on the line, that the police were minutes away. But every second felt like an eternity. Then, the footsteps stopped. Right on the other side of the door. Emily covered her mouth to keep from sobbing. My chest rose and fell as if I were struggling to breathe. Then a sound made my spine shrivel. His nails scraping against the wood, slow, methodical, as if he enjoyed making us wait. I closed my eyes. The police. The police are coming. A faint noise passed through the door. A whisper. "I know you're in there." Emily sobbed. I held her hand tightly. "Get out of my house." My voice trembled. The silence that followed was worse than any sound. Then, bam! The door shook violently. Emily screamed. Bam! Bam! He was trying to break down the door. I was ready to strike, to fight, to do anything to keep him away. But before he could break it down, the sirens. They echoed down the street like a divine thunderclap. I heard tires screeching on the asphalt, voices shouting orders, and then silence. We stood there frozen, waiting, listening. Someone knocked on the bedroom door. "Sir? Boise police. You can come out." When I unlocked the door, I nearly collapsed on the floor. He wasn't there anymore. The officers searched the house, but found nothing. No signs of forced entry, no footprints inside, just the marks in the backyard where someone had stood for a long time. He was gone. But the thought that he had been there inside our house, watching, waiting, never let me sleep the same way again. The next morning, I went back to the community Facebook page, and there was a new post. "Has anyone seen this man?" The photo was grainy, taken from afar, but it was him. And the scariest part? The post wasn't from last night. It was from 3 months ago. Since then, no one has seen the man from the forest again. But sometimes, when I wake up in the middle of the night, I still feel like I'm being watched. And every time the sensor light turns on by itself, I wonder if he's back. The loneliness of the second-floor apartment was sharp, almost suffocating. My name is Clara, I'm 23, and I moved here a month ago to an old building in the heart of Logan Square. The peeling walls, the dimly lit hallway, and the almost funereal silence of the neighbors made me feel like I was the only one living in this place. Until that day. The first friend request on Facebook came on a gray afternoon. The profile showed a man with an empty smile, icy blue eyes, and no information besides the name, Ethan Cole. No mutual friends, no photos other than the profile picture. I declined. The next day, a new request came, this time with a message, "I'm your neighbor from 3B. I saw you carrying boxes in." Apartment 3B was diagonally above mine. I had never seen him. His door always stayed closed, the hallways were empty. I accepted the request, suspicious but curious. "How did you find my name?" I asked. His reply came quickly, "I heard the doorman call you." Odd, because the building didn't have a doorman. The messages started subtle. "Good morning. Are you leaving today?" "How was work?" I responded with one-word answers, but Ethan persisted. One night, after returning from a weekend at my parents' house in Evanston, he wrote, "Did you like the weather there? Does your mom still make that apple pie?" My blood ran cold. I never mentioned my family. "Just a guess," he justified. By the third week, the messages had turned into a digital vigil. Notifications pinged at 2 a.m. "You left the kitchen light on." "Why did you take so long in the shower today?" I blocked the curtains, checked the window locks, and bolted the door twice. Even the air conditioner seemed to whisper his name. The night of the incident, the sky was as black as tar. I was lying in bed when my phone buzzed. "What are you doing?" I ignored it. 3 more buzzes. "I know you're awake. Open the door." "I know you're looking at your phone right now." My heart raced. I got up, my bare feet freezing on the wooden floor. Before I could react, a thud echoed at the door. Thump, thump, thump. Rhythmic, persistent. Through the peephole, I saw Ethan's silhouette, but it wasn't the face from the profile. He looked older, with a scar snaking from his temple to his chin. "Clara!" His voice was hoarse, like it hadn't been used in years. "Let me in, I need to see your eyes." I recoiled, stumbling over the coffee table. The banging grew louder, the doorknob violently twisting. Did he have a copy of my key? The sound of metal scraping the lock made me act. I ran to the bathroom, locked myself in, and dialed 911 with trembling fingers. "Police, there's a man trying to break into my apartment," I whispered, as the sound of dry thumps against the wood came from the hallway. "He's here. He's—" A loud crash interrupted me. The apartment door bent under a kick. On the other side, Ethan laughed, low, wet, like he was already savoring the hunt. The blows on the door echoed like gunshots in the dead silence of the night. I was curled up in the corner of the bathroom, listening to Ethan's ragged breathing on the other side. "You can't escape, Clara. I saw everything. Your photos, your habits. Even your shampoo smells like lavender." His voice was a sickly whisper, sticky like oil. Through the 911 line, the operator insisted, "Stay calm, officers are on the way." But time was slipping away like poison. A new impact made the apartment door crack, wood splintering, screws popping. I grabbed the only thing within reach, a fire extinguisher, and raised it like a weapon. Then, suddenly, silence. Dragging footsteps retreated down the hallway. I dared to peek through the crack in the bathroom door. The hallway light filtered through the gap in the apartment door, now slightly ajar. In the darkness beyond, I saw only Ethan's silhouette, standing still. He raised something long and metallic, a wrench. "Did you like the flowers I left in your trash?" he hissed. "The red roses, they match your coat." I didn't respond. I remembered the wilted petals I had found the previous week, blamed on a mistake by the trash collector. Now every detail fell into place like pieces of a grotesque puzzle. The semi-open windows when I was sure I had closed them, the sound of footsteps above my ceiling, even with 3B empty, the meticulously crafted fake profile. Sirens sliced through the night outside. Ethan cursed, turned, and ran toward the stairs. I heard his footsteps fading away, but stayed locked in the bathroom until the police broke the door down. 2 days later, the investigation revealed that Ethan Cole didn't exist. The man was Daniel Riker, a former employee of the real estate agency that had rented the apartment to me. Fired for inappropriate behavior, he kept copies of the keys to all the properties he had managed. His Facebook was a maze of fake profiles used to stalk women who, like me, lived alone. In apartment 3B, vacant for months, the police found a true shrine of obsession. Printed photos of me glued to the walls, clippings from my online posts, even food packaging I had thrown away. Riker had studied every move, every routine, turning me into an unwilling protagonist in his twisted narrative. But the real horror came with a detail that the newspapers left out. In the hallway near my apartment, investigators found a small camera hidden in a hole in the wall. It transmitted live every time I left or entered. Riker didn't need to guess my steps. He had been watching everything in real time for weeks. I heard that Chicago had recorded over 120 cases of digital stalkers linked to real estate agents, janitors, and even delivery drivers. The line between the virtual and the real is fragile, and there are predators who know exactly where to cut it. I moved to a building with 24-hour security in Lakeview. I never accepted friend requests from strangers online again. But sometimes, as I walk down a dimly lit hallway, I feel a chill on the back of my neck. And on the quietest nights, I swear I hear the echo of a wet laugh. Not from the outside world, but from my own memories, now branded by the shadow of a man who learned to hunt without ever leaving the dark. Maybe you've experienced something like this. Maybe you felt that eerie sensation of someone following you. If you've been through it, share in the comments. And if you've never felt it, I just hope it stays that way. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.